Oh, I should turn that off.
No, it was really good. I mean,
it was grooving.
For hold music, it's hard to beat. Yeah. That's really hard to beat. Look at everybody! Hello.
We are live again. Welcome to our pajama party. We are pajamaing in pajama style. With our
pajama
mugs.
style.
Many of us have good mugs.
Yep. Mugs, all cozy. I have to say, I'm really loving the sleep caps. Those are freaking adorable. Really adorable.
Love the sleep caps.
Are you all on mute? Can you?
Nope. Sorry, we just weren't talking too much. I just figured since we can't show off our fuzzy slippers that we should have sleep caps.
Yeah.
Yes. So cute. Very cute.
I do have rabbit slippers, but
you do have rabbit slippers.
I don't have them on. Yeah.
I was expressing sadness that we are having technical challenges with Odetta's audio because Odetta always has lovely stories and cool things to say. So they are probably going to be interacting directly on Facebook. But I'm glad you're at least visually here with us. So at least we get to see your face and that gorgeous smile.
Yeah. And the very nice mug.
So Simon, how are you? Do you have any hot chocolate with you right now? Are you just cozy and...
I'm just here.
I understand it's snowing where you are.
Yeah, it's been really, really cold today. So, yep. I don't really...
You have not left the house, right?
No, because I didn't... my class was canceled, and then all of my meetings today were online, so just stayed at home. Admired the snow while it was here, because now it's gone.
Yeah.
So.
That is what you do. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I recall, y'all have a lot of bird houses and squirrel feeders and things like that around the house. Did the animals get really busy with them today, or was it just the usual?
I don't know about today specifically, but over the past week we've had like a bunch of hummingbirds come by, so it's been nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool. That's very cool. Odetta, what's on your... Oh, it's a scarf. Oh, very cozy. Very nice. And Charlie's here as usual. Oh, I said Charlie's name just as he popped things in his mouth. Sorry.
It's okay. It's just a little bit of Captain Crunch, so it's a quick crunch and then it's gone. So. I realized that I hadn't eaten anything, and I was like, I'm feeling faint, and I thought, would I rather faint or would I rather eat a little bit of cereal on camera? And I decided that's fine to eat some Captain Crunch on a camera. So crunching away. Yeah, here we are.
That seems nice. How are you doing, Rachel? This has been a pretty big day for you. You had your story reading, and then we did our traditions, and now here we are at pajama time.
I'm wearing Star Trek pajamas. at work. Woo! Not that I don't ever wear pajamas at work. I mean, we work remotely, so it happens. But it is very nice to be gathered together and hang out. And I think the story stream was lovely. If those of you watching, if you haven't had a chance to go watch it, it's still up. And it was a lot of fun to read those stories. And that was Simon and I reading, and it was, I don't know, it just, they're all lovely stories. Four different stories that feature trans non-binary characters, and I just loved doing that. And our winter traditions and holiday traditions stream was wonderful. We had lots of people joining us, and we talked about all kinds of things, and got to see Odetta's wonderful video at the end, which was just beautiful. So that was wonderful too. Yeah, I just really have enjoyed doing this all day long, and I will look forward to putting my feet up after we're done here. Maybe having some cider. I don't know. This mug is tea. This is actually a lemon ginger tea that I'm having right now. Yeah.
That sounds nice. Ooh. Odetta,
are you also having lemon ginger tea? Oh, I love that. We're having the same tea.
What are the
Aw,
odds? What are the odds?
that's
So
wonderful.
the whole point of us having so many things today is that it is Giving Tuesday.
It is.
And it is right in the middle of our year-end fundraiser. Drum roll.
Wait, no drum roll yet.
Oh, okay.
I have to update the thing.
Updating the thing. So y'all know, I mean, our year-end fundraiser starts on November 15th, and we work very hard to raise about a quarter of our operating budget during this fundraiser. And so far, it's going really well. We're in really good space. So, Rachel.
All right, now I have an update. So we have 107 donors. We have raised $60,150 right now.
Nice.
And we still have a dollar for dollar match that is going on today, thanks to a generous group of donors who have agreed to help us with that. And we only have $8,900 left of that dollar for dollar match. So it would be really nice to use all of that today. We're hoping that we can use all of that today. So please go to transfamilies.org/donate. And Charlie, just so you know, that means we're at 46% now. Yeah.
46%. Okay, and folks, hey, if you go there to donate, and I know you're reaching for it right now. Look, listen. I have a personal donation page there. Donate to me, okay? Donate to my. It doesn't go to me, but donate to my page. Don't look at Odetta. Stop. Just put it on my page, okay?
I
So
just
that
have
I will
to
be the
point
first
out
one to
that
reach my goal.
someone just donated to a whole bunch of fundraisers.
Really?
Yeah. So there were 5 of us that got our fundraisers donated to.
Oh, okay. Is somebody that we all know?
Yep. It is somebody that we all know. So Odetta and Nikki and Jade and Kirby and I all had our fundraisers donated too.
Nice. Charlie, was that you?
Sure. Charlie will claim it.
You got me. So for people that are not the people on this live stream, I am 5 feet tall, and I have a 5 foot tall skeleton also named Charlie, and he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt. He's plastic, he's not real, but if he was closer, I would have said that he donated, but he's hanging up in my closet, scaring all of my friends that come over, so.
Nice. All right, I'm going to look.
All right.
I'm just going to look because it's exciting. It's exciting to see that number move. It means a lot to us. You know, we've been really busy this year. A lot of great things are happening. And Oh, everybody has a little bit more money
Yep.
in their fundraiser. It's anonymous. All right. All right. No way to know, but that's okay. Thank you, Anonymous, very much. Trying to save face there. Trying to spread the love. I like it. I
Yep.
like it very
Yep.
much. So, yeah, this year's been a great year. And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say we've had some fabulous moments throughout this year. And part of what we're doing here today is we wanted to share some of those moments with you that we have really loved throughout this year while we raise funds for our year-end fundraiser. So that is the thing we're doing. We're going to share moments, our favorite moments from this year, trans families moments, as well as other moments, and then also talk about our hopes and dreams for 2023, because it's really close to 2023, which is slightly terrifying, just because it came up really fast this year. And we have hopes and dreams for this year. So hopefully you will join us for hopes and dreams. That's my first hope. My first hope and dream is that you join us while we share our hopes and dreams. Isn't that wonderful? So we're going to start with one of my, I have to talk about this one because I'm in it. And it was back in March where we had a webinar where we showed a lovely little film called To the Future with Love that was made by a director and someone named Hunter who helped with the art and the story. The director and Hunter worked together to create this beautiful film. And we had a webinar where we showed the film and we had a panel of non-binary people as well as the director on to talk about our identities and also talk about the film. So this moment is a moment that Nikki started, and we're all gonna watch how it goes.
And it's divided up into two, so we're gonna have like a very quick half a second intermission, and then we're gonna start part 2 of this clip as well. All right, so here's the first part.
Let's ask. I feel like we have to do one moment of what does it mean to be non-binary, because it's, you know, many people have enough of a struggle getting their minds around transitioning from male to female or female to male, with, you know, those are very binary identities. So what the heck does it mean to be non-binary? It's a very big question. I open it to the room. What does it mean to be non-binary to you or in general?
Sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay. One way that I think about it is just this huge umbrella term for any identity that doesn't necessarily subscribe to the expectations of being male or female. Like whether really it's just, it seems so mind-boggling to me to have a whole population of people and we're expected to fit into 2 very small boxes that, and I don't understand how there could not be more outside of that. But to me, it's just all that matter outside of those 2 identities.
Yeah, I was just gonna say something similar, that something that actually Madden from Project U said, that it's kind of just like a spectrum, because, you know, it can be fluid or it can stay in one place on the spectrum. So that's how I would describe being non-binary.
And I definitely want to add to that people who don't have a gender at all. That's kind of under that umbrella of non-binary people who don't identify as either 100% woman or 100% man, and that includes people who don't identify with any gender. In my experience, for me, I don't know what my gender is still. and it's I just know what it isn't, and so I have no idea.
And I also, just as someone who does not identify as non-binary, but also I think about and care about gender a lot. I'm a queer woman who is comfortable in being perceived as female, and yet there are 1,000 ways I express my gender that do not necessarily align with the way people read me, right? Like there are parts of my identity that may be private with my partner who is a non-binary person that may look really different. And I also think one of the things that's felt really important to me that I have come to understand over the years of kind of broadening my own sense of gender through a wider community of folks with all the genders is that we all have a gender that is not, that two people who maybe use the same term or maybe even don't maybe identify as cisgender in some way, that there's still a tremendous breadth and diversity in how our genders are expressed, and that the opportunity to open gender doors more broadly gives all of us space to do that thing that we're not expected to do based on, as you know, I think as Jordan said really clearly, like very narrow boxes that somehow we all fit in. So I think that even if we don't use terms, even if there are ways in which we say, okay, I'm comfortable with this identity that seems more normative, that it may not be as kind of prescribed and normative as we like to think, and that we're all kind of somewhere on that spectrum together.
Yeah, yeah. Another term that I've taken to imagining in my mind when I think of non-binary is there's a spectrum, and then I think of non-binary as being sort of a nebula. It just is it's just very big, and it contains so much and is perhaps not definable. For many people, it does not seem definable.
Yeah. I loved that webinar. It was fabulous. It really was.
It was. You know, that I am so grateful to see that clip. I had forgotten about some of those conversations, and I'm glad that it was such a great webinar, because it was our second most heavily attended webinar, and it happened earlier this year, actually.
All the way back in March. It feels like so long ago.
Back in March. You know what? I think I was doing that from your house, Simon. I think that yeah, anyway. So that webinar is one of many webinars that we did this year. By the time we hit December 31st, we will have produced more than 15 events, live events, webinars, streams, and things like that. So I want to show you, if I may, our top webinars this year. Out of those 15, I'm sharing my screen, but I don't know that it's.
Here you go.
How do I? Yeah, there we go. So as I say, but by the time this year is out, we will have produced more than 15 workshop panel webinars. And so this year, our top 4 were Love Your Voice. We had 92 people registered for that.
That was a great one too.
What's that?
Oh, that was such a great webinar as well. Like
it was. Yeah, it really, really was. And then the next highest one was Let's Talk Littles. That is produced by our trans youth leadership group called the Titans. And they produce those shows. They come up with their topics and decide what they're going to discuss. So Let's Talk Littles was there. And then, of course, Exploring Non-Binary Identities, which we just saw clips from. And the number one webinar we did this year was the current legislative landscape for trans non-binary youth across the US with Chase Strangio and Vivian Topping. Incredible. That was a really incredible workshop. We had 174 people registered for that. You can take that off the screen now. So who all was there? Can you stop the share?
Yep. I didn't know if I was doing it or Charlie was doing it, because if we both try and do it, it'll just go off and on and off and on.
So how many people in here, did you all attend? I was there.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was before my time. We're going to have to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simon, did you have a chance to participate in that one?
I don't think so.
No? Oh, it was incredible.
Yeah, it was really good.
Charlie was really the superstar producer of that particular workshop. And it kind of blew my mind. They talked a lot about the legislation that's going, well, obviously, I mean, that's the whole topic, but it came at a moment when everybody was really feeling the pressure. Hi, Alex. Can see Alex from Rachel.
You're being waved at. She's getting me more tea.
Oh. When all the legislature this year started popping up across the United States, we began hearing about it. We started hearing about it in our youth groups. And actually, Simon and Rachel are our lead moderators in our online youth space. And they were fielding comments and they were seeing it there. We were hearing it from parents in our groups. It was each of us in our homes as individuals were feeling it. Thanks, Alex. She can't even hear me.
Nikki said thanks.
But we, when that started bubbling up more and more, the request was there from the parents. And I think we were really fortunate that we're as nimble as we are as an organization. We were able to say, yeah, let's do it. And within a couple of months, we did it. We produced a series of 3 workshops and put together a very special support group that was specifically a space for parents who were feeling that pressure and that fear, really, and wanted to talk about it specifically. It was quite successful. I'm really proud of that work. I feel like it was just an incredible series. So kudos.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. And then those, so there was you mentioned the group too, the advocacy group. It was such a great space for parents to be able to come and just talk to each other about what they may be experiencing in their own states, and what they may be experiencing all throughout the U.S. and outside the U.S. about how to be together and deal with all of that together.
Yeah. So related to the clip we saw too, we also have a group that is for parents who have non-binary youth. That also was started because of the conversations that we were encountering with our parents who were expressing that same sense of confusion and angst. And we're so fortunate. Rachel and I co-facilitate that group. It's every month. It's been going now for over a year, and it's pretty incredible. I am always so happy to see the people that show up. And since we've been going for more than a year, we've known people now for that long. We talk about a lot of stuff, not including what it's like, what it means to be non-binary, and some of the particular challenges that having a child who is non-binary and how it's different from a child who is trans and binary. There are some differences for sure.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. And then Yeah. And I like being able to be in there and give my perspective as a non-binary person, to be able to talk about my own experiences being non-binary, because I think it's helpful for parents to see non-binary adults and see that we exist, and that we are, happy. I mean, I'm not happy all the time, right? But I'm generally very happy with who I am, and I'm happy with being a non-binary person, and I can show them that, and I think that helps as well. Definitely.
Mhm. Yeah. So one of the first people who attended that group recently wrote a little love letter to trans families. And then she was kind enough to read it out loud for us and let us record it. And I'm dropping major hints, but nobody's picking it up.
No, it's
Charlie.
being
My name's Amy, and I'm the parent of a 17-year-old non-binary child. When I first found trans families after a Google search 2 years ago, I was thrilled because I couldn't find a similar support group in my local community. Today, I'm so happy to be a regular participant in the monthly support group for parents of non-binary children. The Trans Families Parents of Non-Binary Children Support Group was the first and only program I found that was specifically geared towards parents of non-binary children. The local support groups were for parents of all transgender children. The specific needs of parents of non-binary children were addressed in this Trans Families Support Group. My relationship with my child only got better since joining Trans Families. I was able to recognize myself and all of the other parents in the group. I was able to offer support to those just starting out on the journey, which helped me realize how far I've come since learning my child was non-binary. And of course, my confidence grew as well as my knowledge. Their grandparents are still struggling with understanding what non-binary means and still use the wrong pronouns. But I've learned that I can't control others' behaviors, just my own. Something that I'm especially proud of is watching my child advocate for themselves as well as for future transgender high school students. For example, working with the school's administration to designate a few all-gender single bathrooms with the appropriate signs, as well as changing the school's policy of two-color graduation cap and gown, which for 60 years had been designated by gender. Now, because of my child, they will be designated alphabetically and by row. When I think about my child's future now, I'm excited to see how they will impact the world. Thank you to Trans Families from the bottom of my heart for helping me get here. Hope you all have a great holiday season. Thank you.
Oh,
so much love.
Oh, Amy. It is, gosh, I don't even know how to describe how it feels to hear stories like that. And to see, I remember when Amy first showed up at her very first gathering. I remember her feeling like she seemed to me a little bit shy. And I remember hoping that she would come back the next month. I worried. I thought, oh, I don't know if we'll ever see her again. Sometimes it just feels so hard to tell if people are feeling that connection and feeling, getting the stories that they need and getting the community that they need. But She showed up. She kept showing up.
Yeah.
Kept showing up.
And she said that when she can't show up because of her schedule, it's just hard. She wishes she could come every single time because she loves our community. I mean, obviously she wrote that for us, which was beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, and now she offers so much love and support to people who show up that are brand new, that are just starting to figure this out. And while she continues forward in the journey that she's on, she just, big love for her.
Would you, quickly before we move on, would you like a small update? We could throw in a small update. Just because, I mean, we always like a small update, right? So we are right now at 109 donors, and we're at $61,002, which means that we are at 46.9%. So Charlie, I don't know what you want to do with the thermometer down there. If we're at 46.9, I don't know if we should round up. But
you haven't let me round up for any other one. So
that's true. I haven't. We're going to keep it at 46 until we can get a little bit more. And we still have $8,474 left of that match. So please help us out. And like we've said earlier today, this is actually about a quarter of our operating expenses that we're trying to raise for our Give a Spark fundraiser, year-end fundraiser. And we're getting there, halfway there. And I think that's pretty cool as well.
This is very cool. Very cool. Very cool. So, okay. So Simon's here. And I really, really, really would like to take a few minutes to brag about Simon and about our youth leadership program.
I love bragging about Simon because look at what Simon does when you do it. I love it. Yes.
Simon's like, he froze in the cutest thing, or maybe I froze. I don't know. Anyhow, okay, Simon, you gotta unmute, my friend. You gotta unmute for just a moment. We love Simon. Simon started attending and running around with all the other kids in our community. 6-7 years ago? You were a wee lad.
7. 8?
Yeah, I think it's about 8. Yeah, maybe 8 years ago.
Because I started in 2015.
So he was a wee lad, and then you ended up joining our youth leadership program, the Trans Youth Taking Action Now, Titans. And what'd you think of that?
Seems like such a long time ago.
You did it for multiple years, though.
Yeah, I remember the first year I was an honorary Titan, and it started with me coming in for a workshop, and it was the writing workshop. And I remember you all had asked me, hey, could you come in and just kind of like share, how you write, and then, that's it. And then for some reason, ever since then, I think especially during Gender Odyssey, I was like an honorary Titan. But yeah, no, it was really, really great. I think we definitely started off with doing like panels at the conference, and then definitely when it all like went online, 2020, we did them, we did our own webinars and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know, there's a lot to say about it.
There is. Well, okay, so you graduated out of the Titan. You're too old. He's too old now. He's an old man at 22. And so we just hired him. We hired him, and now he helps to lead the Titans. He's one of our lead Titans. So I have a slide that I can show you, just a couple of the highlights from this year. This year was especially cool. It's the first year that Simon was the coordinator for the Titans. Can you put my screen share up? Dun, 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 it's coming in a moment. And we did, I'm just going to talk since it's not showing up. So the Titans produced, that was super cute, Charlie.
You needed to see Charlie all of a sudden.
That was super cute. Okay, so this year, some of the really cool highlights, I think, Translations Film Festival out of Seattle. 2 of our Titans went and hosted a panel of filmmakers at Translations Film Festival. Super cool. One of our Titans did a TED Talk. Our youngest Titan, I might add. She's quite impressive. The Titans produced several episodes of Let's Talk Gender. A lot of college got started. A lot of jobs got started. They facilitate every single youth gathering that we have. The Titans show up to facilitate. And one of our Titans actually spoke at a press conference with Representative Pramila Jayapal. What? Oh, that's right. And Simon, look, there you are. Whoop, whoop. Who's that? I
don't know who that is. Some guy.
That's the founder of all of our youth programming right there. That's Gil. Gil founded every bit of youth programming that we have right now. And there's not enough that can be said about how wonderful that person is. And look, there's Nadia. She was right next to Gil for most of the time. So Nadia, and then there's Aiden. Hey, who's that? Who's that handsome guy right there?
Never met him.
That GQ guy right there.
Oh, GQ man, right there.
That's the GQ photo.
Check it out. Okay, so y'all, this press conference was really, really impressive. I don't know if you all know, Representative, and Charlie, you're going to have to keep me honest here. Representative Pramila Jayapal, along with some other lawmakers whose names I can't remember, wrote the Transgender Bill of Rights. And it is not law yet. However, they held a press conference in Seattle to launch it in Seattle. And we have a clip.
Who is an amazing trans youth leader from Trans Families. Aiden, thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, my name is Aiden. My pronouns are he and they, and I am white, trans, masked, and non-binary. I turned 18 a few weeks ago, and I'm headed off to college this fall. It's always so powerful to be surrounded by community like we are right now. I love being in spaces where I know that everyone around me wants to support and uplift transgender, non-binary people. Community is especially essential to the well-being of trans youth. I just graduated from high school and went through most of that experience as a trans and non-binary kid. As a kid, I was extremely lucky to have friends and family who supported me in finding my authentic self. My parents found Trans Families, an organization that began here in Seattle, but is now national. Trans Families creates a support system for parents with transgender and non-binary kids. That community was essential for my family. I am here today as an empowered, self-assured young person because of that community. Through Trans Families, I was able to meet kids like me from across the country. And because we don't live in the same place, I know that we don't all have the same legal protections. Our rights as transgender and non-binary people are often determined by our zip code. Across the country, our rights as transgender people are a patchwork of protections, gray area, and sometimes downright hostility. Even when I'm laughing during meetings for our youth development program, Titan, I'm acutely aware that without national protections, like the ones laid out in the Trans Bill of Rights, all of us are experiencing vastly different levels of legal protections. And within localities, we need stronger protections everywhere to ensure that everyone has equal access to live their authentic lives. In my high school, I was the president of our LGBTQ student group. With that came the unique opportunity to hear the stories of other trans and non-binary youth. And as I listened to these stories, I learned how incredibly privileged I am. Even as I was experiencing implicit and explicit transphobia, I was still being seen as a white man in a world built upon racism and sexism. While I have faced hardships, while I have been marching uphill for years, I have privilege that not everyone else has had. I am white, and if I choose to be, I can be male passing. Many of my peers, my friends, don't have that privilege. Many of them are indigenous, Black, Jewish, Muslim, disabled. These are all things that they can't hide, nor should they have to. But being trans on top of another minority identity can make even walking to school terrifying. It doesn't have to be this way. I feel thankful to be a part of a community like Trans Families. For my parents and me, meeting others like us has helped us to create a roadmap for our journey as a family. But not everyone has had a community like Trans Families, and everyone deserves legal protections that allow them to become the successful people that they want to be. The Trans Bill of Rights is a similar roadmap, not just for the legal protections to prevent discrimination, it also actively invests in the well-being of transgender and non-binary people. It is not enough to just make sure that my community has access. We also need to be proactive. We need to recognize historical power imbalances and systemic harms that my community has faced by investing in community services and expanding access to healthcare providers who understand the importance of trans-competent and ethical healthcare. The Trans Bill of Rights does all of this. This is all important to me as a transgender, non-binary person myself, of course. I've seen how important supportive communities can be for transgender and non-binary kids, and I actually chose my career path because I experienced that firsthand. When I was a junior in high school, I began co-facilitating a trans family support group for trans and non-binary middle schoolers. I was so moved by the confidence that they found in this space together, I decided that I wanted to spend the rest of my life fostering supportive spaces for kids like them. The kid I was. And this fall, when I start college, I'll be pursuing a career in counseling while continuing to co-facilitate that group. All transgender and non-binary people, including the middle schoolers in that group, are so resilient. But transgender and non-binary people shouldn't have to be resilient in order to live. The Trans Bill of Rights paves a path for everyone to become successful, happy, thriving members of our community. I'm honored to be here on behalf of transgender and non-binary young people and their loved ones. And I encourage everyone to seek out more stories from trans and non-binary youth. Every trans voice, every trans experience is unique and valuable and reflects why the Trans Bill of Rights is so important. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Aiden, for being such an amazing leader. You inspire all of us, and you are going to make life better for so many kids and families.
So good. And then after that, he was asked a question by a reporter and totally fielded it amazingly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He did. It was a total gotcha question. The reporter was like, and Aiden calls Aiden directly and then asks this question that Aiden doesn't know the answer to. And nobody in the room would expect Aiden to know the answer to. And Aiden took it with aplomb. As soon as the question was finished, if you watch the whole clip, it's probably available somewhere. 3 people from behind Aiden surged forward to take the question on their behalf. But they handled it beautifully and then handed it off to Jayapal. And Jayapal allowed no more questions after that. She was like, no more of that messiness. No. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was really
really was.
Can I ask Jade and Ron? I don't know if you all have ever seen that clip before. What do you think of that? What are your impressions?
Well, I thought it was amazing. Just Aiden's presence and sort of whole sense of, it's hard for anybody to stand up and do a public speech, and for an 18-year-old to get up and sound like that's what they've been doing as a career. I just think it's an impressive clip.
Yeah, I agree. Just to hear a person that young know what they want to do, but just to be so dedicated to it as well. And then on a personal note, being a child and coming of age in the 60s, and it makes me feel good to hear other young people willing to do that, to be that, to see that, to put themselves out there and stand up and, do what's right. So anyway,
It's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. It's inspiring. It's absolutely inspiring. Yeah.
Simon, did it surprise you at all?
No.
Yeah.
It anytime Aiden speaks, it's nothing but just feeling proud, and not only like, this is the first year that I ever felt proud, for the Titans as like, more of a mentor standpoint, but just throughout the years, because Aiden has been doing Titan for about as long as I have, and just seeing them grow, and like every single time they speak, it's just beautiful. Like it's masterpiece. And but definitely, that was amazing though. And then also like, Gabriella would doing the TED Talk, and then I think this year she was gonna be like on the planning for TED Talks. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it's just been insane to see, like, a lot of these peers just grow into, amazing people, do amazing things at such a young age. So
Yeah.
but
Including yourself.
we're not talking about
I mean,
me.
Simon doesn't talk about it a lot, but he did open for Janet Mock. I mean,
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, all that.
Okay, so one of the things that we were going to talk about today as well, that is on our agenda, is to talk about our favorite moments in the trans community, and so we just saw mine. So I'm done. Next.
So I have a few things to share that we have all created together. A few of us have created to just talk about some of our favorite kind of, not necessarily pop culture. Some of them are pop culture, but also, different kinds of cultural moments throughout the year that have really like made us happy and proud and all that good stuff. So I'm sharing this. This one is Jade's. Jade, you made this.
I did, but I
I
want to
love
say
it.
before we talk about Dr. Levine, who's an awesome person, I just want to say my favorite trans families moment was the fact that I got to join the team this year. So that's my favorite personal trans family moment. But earlier when our Rachel asked about some favorite sort of bigger cultural things that involve trans folks, Dr. Levine came to mind. I'm in Pennsylvania, and she was the Secretary of Health for Pennsylvania during the pandemic, and was just so amazing and wonderful and reassuring and calming, and just such a wonderful presence during the pandemic years. That every time I see her name pop up, I just get a little glow of happiness, and she's just amazing. And this year she was in the news a lot in several places. Among other things, she was voted by USA Today's one of the Women of the Year, and she was elected to the National Academy of Medicine, which is a high honor that not a lot of people get. At the tail end of last year, she became an admiral, which is kind of an amazing thing. So every time I see her, I just get super happy. So I just wanted to mention her.
Yeah, absolutely.
She is amazing. And just a little another thing that you can brag about now, Jade, is she has delivered a keynote speech for us at Gender Odyssey.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know that. That's fabulous. Yeah. Well, we can add that to her list of awesomeness.
Yes. She is very awesome.
And I love this collage you threw together.
Well, it's sort of the way because I just you know, especially the news has been so difficult. Sometimes you have to go into kind of a little, at least I have to sometimes go into a little bit of a news moratorium. And so sometimes I only see headlines, and I see a headline of her and this is the way I feel. It just makes me happy. But it's nice to see, here's somebody who is trans, and she's open about that, but she's just living her best life and doing her work and focusing on the work she's doing. And I just love, it's just such an authentic way that she presents herself. So I love seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah, and let me grab the next one because I have to exit that one. And then this next one, there we go.
We're doing an
Amy
Amy too.
Schneider.
Yeah, well, you know, Ron and I are huge trivia fans and love Jeopardy and love that kind of stuff. And just, again, Amy's just awesome doing what she's doing and just being awesome while doing it. So gotta love it.
Yeah. And you know, not only has she done this, right, but she's standing up for trans youth so beautifully. I love how she was redirecting people like, yeah, Jeopardy's cool. It is. And we need it. We need those kinds of things in our lives. But I really want to focus on what's happening right now. And I loved that she did that. It was a great moment. And I also enjoy Jeopardy.
Yeah.
So the next one is one of mine because I'm a nerd. I know, sorry, this picture's small. I tried to find bigger ones, but this is Grace Whiteside from Blown Away. Blown Away is a glass blowing competition show, and there's like 10 people who are glass blowers who go and they create glass art, and they create it during each show, and then someone gets voted off, and at the end there's a champion. But the prizes are really cool too because they are in getting to go to glass college. I don't know what it's called. It's very prestigious glass college. I don't know enough about the glass blowing world to be able to rattle off all of it. But Grace Whiteside is non-binary and was on this last season of Blown Away, and they created beautiful works of art out of glass that were quirky and had a lot to say. And they are continuing to do that now. They are continuing to be an artistic voice in the glass blowing community and raising awareness about all kinds of issues. And I just really love Grace Whiteside. So check out Blown Away if you haven't, because it is a really cool show. And there were some other glass blowers in the first season that I really liked as well. And then I got to talk about Star Trek, because Star Trek, this is the Trekkie family, and this last season on Star Trek Discovery, Blue Del Barrio and Ian Alexander, who are the two in the middle. Blue Del Barrio's the person on the right next to Hugh Culber, is non-binary, and then Ian Alexander is a trans man, and they are both characters on Star Trek Discovery this last season. And in the show, Paul Stamets and Hugh are like their family, like their parents. Basically, they're kind of all a found family, which is another big part of life. And so I just absolutely love all of these Star Trek peoples. The next one is Odetta.
Here.
What? Here. Is that what you said? Yeah,
absolutely.
I know. I love.
So
they all hang out outside of the show, and they play D&D together, and like
so awesome.
I know they're like mentors. In addition to being like a little family, so I love it. So the next one is Odetta. Odetta made this, and we're gonna show a video, and Odeta's person that they sent me was Dylan Mulvaney. And if you're not sure who Dylan Mulvaney is, this video that we're about to show will tell you who Dylan Mulvaney is. So I'm going to remove this.
We're going to move on now to trans rights. There have been many anti-LGBTQ plus bills introduced and enacted, outlawing things like gender-affirming healthcare and banning kids from playing sports. To go deeper into this issue, here with us today is Dylan Mulvaney, who's welcomed us into her life by, showing on social media her Girlhood series. Let's take a look.
My name is Dylan Mulvaney. I am a trans woman, and I am documenting my transition publicly on TikTok for the world to see. When people started watching and the numbers kept getting higher, I realized quickly how public my transition would be. Of course, I knew that there would be backlash and negativity. I try to not let the internet's words hurt me or my spirit. But do you know what does hurt? Seeing people in power and authority figures creating laws and bills that are actively trying to harm us trans humans, especially trans children. Our lives have become political talking points. Lawmakers in many states want to exclude us from participating in sports or getting proper health care. Some folks want to decide where we can use the bathroom. No one should have fear living in a state that they call home while being true to themselves. No one should have their lives put in danger because of who they are inside. That's why I'm sharing my story with the world. I'm using my platform to stand up for my community and for any of the little Dylans that deserve a clear path to their true identity.
Mr. President, this is my 221st day of publicly transitioning.
God love you.
Thank you. I am extremely privileged to live in a state that allows me access to the resources I need, and that decision is just between me and my doctors. But many states have lawmakers that feel like they can involve themselves in this very personal process. Do you think states should have a right to ban gender-affirming health care?
I don't think any state or anybody should have the right to do that. As a moral question and as a legal question. I just think it's wrong. I think I was saying before we started that my deceased son, used to be the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. He passed the broadest piece of legislation that he, as Attorney General, was able to convince the legislature and the governor to sign that dealt with all gender-affirming capability. I mean, there's a lot of, sometimes they try to block you from being able to access certain medicines, being able to access certain procedures, and so on. None of that should be available. I mean, no state should be able to do that, in my view. So I feel very, very strongly that you should have every single solitary right, including use of your gender identity bathrooms in public.
Thank you. Thank you. And it feels like Republicans have turned trans and non-binary people into this thing to blame society's downfall on in some ways. And this narrative is not only dangerous to our mental health, but also our physical safety. And particularly trans women of color are being murdered at an alarming rate.
More than any other group of people.
Thank you. How can Democratic leaders be more effective in advocating for us trans people and our families and our lives and our opportunities?
I'm not being facetious when I say this, being seen with people like you. No, I mean it. I genuinely mean it. People fear what they don't know. They fear what they don't know. And when people realize, individuals realize, oh, this is what they're telling me to be frightened of. This is the problem. People change their minds. People just don't know enough to know. And it's not because of intellectual incapability, it's just lack of exposure. And I think that it's really important that we continue to speak out about the basic fundamental rights of all human beings. And the idea that what's going on, in some states, I won't get into the politics of it, but in some states, it's outrageous, and I think it's immoral. The trans part's not immoral. What they're trying to do to trans persons is immoral.
Thank you. And do you have any messages to the families of trans folks that are seeking, options for their children but are struggling to find resources. Do you have a message to those parents?
Yeah, I do. This is blood of your blood, bone of your bone. And it is, again, speaking to my son, when he spent a year in Iraq, and he was a decorated soldier. He volunteered to go, he had to give up the Attorney General's job and then came back to it. And he started a foundation I'm not allowed to talk about now because I can't raise money for it any longer. But it was for abused children. And one of the things he did is raise millions of dollars, this organization, to basically educate parents as to what they should not be afraid of, and to educate the community as to what is just pure hyperbole. And so I just think it's a matter of leaders speaking out and saying, as I told you, I mentioned a young woman who used to be in his staff, used to be in my staff, who is now a state senator. And she's trans, and she's a state senator in the state of Delaware, in an area that was historically very conservative, the part of Delaware. And she's running unopposed this time. So things are changing. Things are changing, but it's a matter of us acknowledging that there's nothing to be, just because it's different, there's nothing to be fearful about.
Pretty amazing moments. I love the introduction of Dylan and who she is. Just a little, it was such a great capsule, of everything that she is, and just that she was able to go and speak to the president and ask those questions and get those answers. Simon, you were mentioning in our little chat that you just found Dylan Mulvaney. What, yesterday?
Yeah, I was looking at V's TikTok, and then just kind of went down the rabbit hole of trans influencers, and I found Dylan, and I was just like, this is the most joyful and wholesome person I have ever seen. And I think she's posted some stuff about obviously advocacy and stuff like that, but she started this whole trend of people saying I've been transitioning, or I've been a trans woman or a trans man or non-binary for blank amount of days, and I love that. But yeah, I really really enjoy her content, and I think it's really cool that I didn't know that she had that little meeting, or that speaking opportunity with Biden. So I think that's really really cool.
Yeah, she was invited. What a beautiful thing to be invited. Yeah. Does anybody else would anybody else like? Nikki, go ahead. You're unmuting.
Yeah. So I hadn't seen any of that. I didn't know any of that existed. Also, I'm really grateful to see it today. That is wonderful, and Dylan looks like an amazing person to pay attention to. So I'll be looking for Dylan as well. I want to mention as well that the Biden Foundation has been involved in supporting the trans community for many years. I think it was in 2018, the first time they showed up to a Gender Odyssey. The Biden Foundation came to Gender Odyssey, and we're running focus groups there. And so whatever one's political affiliations are, I think it's just worth noting that President Biden and before he was President Biden, his organization and the people that support him and that help inform him of what's happening in the country have been tuned into the trans community for a long time. And that means something. To me, it means something. So
yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Odetta, for sending that. And I wish I could hear your words right now because I know you would have so many beautiful things to say about Dylan. But you made this lovely, lovely picture. And because of that, I found that video. And I'm just, that video was perfect. I'm so glad that we found it and we're able to show it. So I have a couple more pop culture-y moments. Or cultural moments that are some of our favorites, and these again are mine because I'm the one that gathered them. So there, so I'm doing more. This is Rain, who is in Owl House. Owl House is an animated show on Disney, and there's been a lot of controversy actually because Disney didn't want non-binary and queer characters on their shows. They still try to walk that line, and they're moving into the right direction now. There are actually a couple other shows that have gay characters, but Owl House was one of the first ones. And this is Rain, who's a non-binary character, and then this is the two main characters, Amity and Luz, who are a couple in the show, and it's an absolutely beautiful show, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really, really fun show, and so I definitely recommend.
Sorry, what is it? What is it called?
It's called the Owl House. OWL, Owl House. Yeah, and it's a great show. I mean, look how pretty too. It's just pretty. It's a pretty show. And then my final moment, we're going back to Star Trek because I cannot go by without mentioning Jesse James Keitel, who was on Star Trek on last season on Strange New Worlds, and was the character that she played was, I can't even describe. You have to go see. You have to see the character that she played. But look at this. I mean, she's an absolutely fabulous person. And I think one of the notable moments about it was the character that she plays uses they them pronouns, and everybody in the show just did it. And there wasn't any discussion about it. There wasn't anything about it. Hello. I'm saying hi. Yeah, it was just there. It was just how it was, and I love that. I absolutely love that about that show. So
you know that she was also in Big Sky.
Yeah, there's been a lot of very good shows. She's fabulous.
It's exciting to see her popping up in so many casts. She's excellent.
So that is all mine. Does anybody else have any other pop culture moments that you wanted to talk about? Charlie's coughing. All right.
We have had everybody on the team has been, we're like all taking turns with what is the RSV, whatever the rhino, that or COVID or flu. Like we're just all rotating around. Even though we don't come into the same office, it's rotating.
I think we
around.
pass it around.
We're all, I don't know. Does everybody know that our team is 100% remote? Everybody works from their own space, and we have team members across the country. So Jade and I are both way over on the East Coast, and Charlie, we're way over on the East Coast. And then the other three people in this room are all on the Westies.
Yep. And we have rumbles, and we start snapping, and we start singing at each other in our meetings.
That's right. Oh,
Totally
yes,
do
too.
that. We totally do it.
The string between the tin cans between all of our homes, huge budget for that. Huge country.
Yeah. Yeah. We need help.
Do we need another update? Do we ever need another update?
Is there an update? I hope there's an update.
Yep. Charlie's got to get the thermometer fingers ready. Okay. The update
thermometer
is
fingers?
Yeah, to update the thermometer. The update is that we have 114 donors.
Mm-hmm.
We are at $63,585, which is 48%. 48. Woo! And that means we have just a little over 7,000 left of that match. So please help us.
Okay. If you
that
are
up.
watching and you haven't yet donated, please do. Please do. Our goal today is to finish out the day at 50% of our total goal. Like, that's what we want. Today's goal is to reach that halfway mark.
close.
We are so close. We're so close. So close. So if you can help get us to that 50% mark, that would be fantastic. And we have how much of a match do we have left? You said
a little over 7,000. It's like 7,100. Yeah.
So we have a group of donors that is willing to sweeten the pot for us. They will match. We had a match of, I don't remember how much when we started, but yeah, 7,000 left. So please take advantage of it. Help us hold on to those matching dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think unless we have any other exciting pop culture moments, that we were going to talk about what we did this year, some of the stuff. I mean, we've talked about some of our favorite moments, but we were just going to talk a little bit about what we did this year, and then talk about our hopes and dreams for 2023. Oh, I think he's muted.
I'm sorry, I had to mute. I have someone in the house with me, and they were trying to do something in the kitchen, which is near me, and some things were happening. So
yes,
yeah, okay, that's me. Yes, let me tell you a little bit about what we did this year. We did so much this year. I have a slide. Yeah, stuff we did this year. Woohoo! First of all, I have to mention in the photograph, that's not all of the Titans, but that's some of the Titans who got together at the end of the cohort year to celebrate. And they got together and went to a place called Archie McPhee's in Seattle. If you've never been, I recommend it highly. It is the most fun place to go. And it has the largest rubber chicken in the world, which was built by our very own Nadia. Who's the co-leader of the Titans. Yeah. So, okay, so some of the stuff we did this year in Trans Families, we ran 24 programs. We added 4 new groups. We registered 1,402 people for our groups. That does not include all the people who registered for our webinars. That's just people who came to the groups. We added 629 new families to our community, which is huge. And we also grew our staff. Our staff almost doubled this year. Hey, Odetta. Hey, Jade. Hey, Simon. Hey, Charlie. Yeah, it grew a lot. And couldn't have happened any sooner. I mean, I wish it had happened a lot sooner, but we also expanded our board of directors, and we added a whole lot of new facilitators. So we had a great year. And I want to tell you about where folks are coming from when they attend our groups. So when we say people attend our groups, we're talking about these are families who have gone through orientation. They've gone through an intake and orientation with us, and then they get access to all of our programming after that. And primarily, those families come from the United States and Canada. I don't know what's happening in Wyoming. Why we have nobody in Wyoming?
It doesn't have a big population.
And West Virginia.
Yeah.
I don't know. But in addition to those places, we also have families who call in and join our groups from Argentina, Australia, Belize, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Germany, Japan, Laos, South Africa, Trinidad, the United Arab Emirates. That was a surprise to me. And the United Kingdom. And then what I did not list here, but is also true, that our military service families who are overseas in Europe and Asia also call in to our groups. It's kind of impressive. I knew that when we started providing our services online, that we would start serving a lot more people. We started out in Seattle, right? That's our home. But I just did not ever dream that within a couple of years we would have people calling in from so far around the world. And yeah, it's very validating. It's very validating.
Super wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So right now, the groups that we offer to parents and guardians include groups that are organized by the age of a parent's child. So elementary age and younger, parent of middle school age youth, parents of high school age, and parents of adult age. And then we also have groups that are organized by experience. So A Dad's Place, Thriving on Two Spectrums. Thriving on Two Spectrums is for parents who have children that are on the that are neurodiverse and gender diverse. Most of the parents in there have children who are on the autism spectrum, but there are other kinds of neurodiversity that show up in those spaces as well. We also have parents of non-binary children, parents who are LGBTQ themselves, and parenting a trans or non-binary child, BIPOC parents, and then, of course, our advocacy support group, which I mentioned earlier. And I also want to tell you about, come on, move. Yeah, I want to tell you about all the workshops we did this year. So we did, I don't think that this is all of them, but we did Exploring Non-Binary Identities, which we saw a clip of earlier. We did God or Child, which is an incredible webinar. How to Love Your Voice. Let's Talk. That was done by the Titans. Public Activism with Debbie Jackson and Asaf Orr. Let's Talk Gender and Disability by the Titans. Mama Has a Mustache. That was another short film followed by a panel discussion. Going to School While Trans with Aiden Key, our founder. Media Training with Rebecca Kling. Incredible. Her training was just outrageously thorough and thoughtful. Let's Talk Dating by the Titans. And The Current Legislative Landscape with Chase Strangio and Vivian Topping, which I mentioned earlier. This is not an exhaustive list, but that was a lot of them. We have one more coming up. We have another workshop coming up that I hope you all will be able to check out. It's going to be on December 15th. It's going to be by the Titans, or at least mostly have the Titans on the panels, and y'all can correct me. Simon nodded, so I think I'm saying it right. And that is about gender euphoria. So definitely come to that. All right, so for the youth, we have stuff that is scheduled. So we've got a group that is specifically for 8 to 10-year-olds, and that's a social group. It's a Zoom group. We have a middle school and high school age support group, Trans Femme Society, and then we have game nights, which our very own Simon actually was the brains and is now the brawn behind that. And Healthy Relationships. That's a 6-week sex ed course that's for trans and non-binary youth. It's an amazing course. We offer it twice a year. For the youth, we also have our private facilitated chat server, and that's only for youth who are part of families that have gone through our orientation. So those kids have access to the server. We currently have more than 119 kids in Monterey. It's gone up since then. I'm looking at the faces in the audience to see if anybody can say how many. But right now, or the last time I checked, there were over 50 channels, and the channels are topics. And the topics run the gamut from dating to art that I drew, to memes that I love, to you name it. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there. And the busiest times are actually right before and right after school, which fascinates me. Anyway, they're busy out there. It's the most active section of all of our programming because people are participating. The kids are participating every single day. And then we also, of course, have our leadership program, the Trans Youth Taking Action Now. It's a 9-month program. We usually have about 9 participants, and it's open. They range in age from 14 to 21. 21's a little on the high side, but for folks that have already been in the Titan program, we just love it. See, okay. And some of the things that the Titans work on are their public speaking skills, their facilitation skills, and of course, event production. Oh, yeah, this was some of our new stuff, the new things we did. I'm sorry, can you hear my cat in the background?
I sure can. Did he leave or?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My son went out and
yeah.
Eva is his cat. And so when he walks out the door, the cat
speaks out.
Bereft.
Yep.
And this is welcome to my house. So, anyway, these are some of the great things that we started up this year, and something that we're going to be pursuing a little bit more. I've talked about the Family Advocacy Series, which was amazing. We piloted a regional group for parents in Alaska. That's been going really well. We're hoping to do more regional-based groups in the future. We started our social group for the 8 to 10-year-olds. Oh my gosh, Eva. And then the game nights. All right, yep. Oh yeah. Let's just keep going. I want to mention, I cannot tell you how valuable all of our facilitators are. There's absolutely no way that we could run 24 programs without our volunteer facilitators. We have 22 facilitators who volunteer to do our parent groups. We have another 15 volunteer facilitators to do the youth space groups. And then our orientation volunteers are very special. Actually, Simon's mom is one of our orientation volunteers. The orientation is a very special space. It can be really vulnerable for parents. Sometimes it's their first time saying out loud to anyone outside of their family that that this thing is happening to their kid, that they don't, even if they've been navigating it with their child for a year or more, even when they feel pretty solid, there is something that shifts for them in being in that shared space and saying it out loud in a place that everyone is saying, yes, we understand. Oh, can you hear? Because my kid. All right. Oh, all right. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Take it off.
Sorry. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I took it off.
See, he's back. The cat is happy. Anyway, we did a lot of stuff this year, and I think it's been really exciting. It was a challenging year too. We, for many reasons, we had one of our core staff members was on sabbatical for part of the time. And then I had very reduced hours for several months because of an illness in my family. And yet we still managed to do a lot of stuff with our little team.
The little team that goes.
Yeah.
Well, now it's a bigger team that goes. Bigger team that goes. I have to say that planning all of these events without Charlie and Odetta and Nikki to help me would have been so much harder. So I'm definitely grateful to all of you. Running all of these events. It's just it's not easy. So thank you to the three of you especially for helping with that.
I don't know how you did this as one person before. It's honestly.
I don't know either. I'm not sure. Past me had more energy than present me. Seems to.
Go all versions of you.
Rachel's a dynamo.
And I'm still alive. See, that's good. Even though I have a red shirt on.
It's amazing. Just stay safe tonight, Rachel.
I know. You know, sadly, I used to work at a school district in Utah, and I would wear this to work on occasion for different festivals and holidays, and nobody would know. They didn't know who I was, or I have a Fourth Doctor costume with an 11-foot 16-foot scarf, and they had no idea who I was. Everybody was vaguely uncomfortable because I looked like a man.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So, I'm really happy to be in a place where people seem to understand who I am. We have a comment from Brian. Thanks to all of you for your efforts to make this evening program so fun, informative, and successful. Brian is just saying good night. But thank you, Brian, for coming.
Brian, you donated to my page, right?
Had to throw that in there.
It's very important.
You'll have to check later.
Brian came into our life last year, this year. I don't know, but he's one of those bright lights for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So keep dropping.
I know we're getting late, and we need to talk about hopes and dreams. What are our hopes and dreams and the future? Do you want to talk about the future? You stopped your thing.
Yeah, I did.
Are we not going to talk about the future?
Okay.
Future smuture.
Well, in 2023. We will be. We have plans to develop programming that is specifically for families who are involved in the foster care system, and also to develop programming for social workers who work with families in the foster care, who are participating in the foster care system. We are going to be developing some programming for families who are experiencing separation. It happens that sometimes as a youth is going through a social transition or is coming to understand that their gender is not as it was assigned at birth, that it coincides with problems in a family. And so we're going to be creating some spaces specifically for families who are experiencing that. And what else? We are BIPOC specific groups have been on a short hiatus. Those are going to be relaunched in 2023. I'm really excited for that. We have some super cool programming that is coming together for that. And I just can't wait. Titans are coming back, and we are also developing a new online community for our parents. We currently have a forum system, and that isn't likely to go away. There's a lot of good stuff out there. It's wonderful. And we know the power of the instant communication. I think everybody here knows how powerful that is to create relationships. And so we are working on a space that is like the one that we have for our youth, where all people are talking all the time. So we want to create a similar space for parents. That's in development. And then we, trans families, you heard it here first, is joining with QChat. QChat is an online space for youth to come. So youth who aren't necessarily, whose families might not be supporting them, they still want to have a space an online space where they can chat with people. So we'll be moderating a monthly group on QChat in 2023. Yeah. What else? Oh, and we're really trying to figure out internships. We want to be able to provide actual internships. So that's another thing that's on our list. Oh, and Odetta left.
Yeah.
Odetta's working really hard to find a space for us to have a summer conference again, another summer conference. It's been years and it is time. We miss each other. We want to see each other's faces, and the magic that happens in those conference spaces just cannot, I mean, it's really hard to describe. So Simon's family and my family went to our very first conferences at the same time. We were there together. And afterward, I remember describing my son's reaction to it, like that he would crawl over broken glass to be there every year. It was had that much of an impact on him. Simon, did you also feel that way?
Oh yeah. It was a fantastic place to meet people, because at the time, like, you know, trans families was only in the Seattle area. And sometimes people from, like, you know, I think there was a family who were from like Burlington or something who came in. But other than that, that was like the farthest out you got. And so Gender Odyssey was a place for us to meet folks who were from like Peru, and there was someone who's from Denmark. And usually Tennessee was the farthest you got, you know? And so it's just really nice to like get together and meet everyone. But yeah, that's where I definitely got to know you and you and your child.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah. So we want to get that back. And Odetta is spearheading that effort right now. So they are beating the bushes at the moment, because everybody wants to get together in 2023. Like everyone is trying to set up stuff. So we're racing to get that underway. I think that's it. There's some other stuff that we will be developing. I don't know that it's going to launch in 2023. So I hesitate a little bit to say what it is, but I'm going to tell you. We're working on our community resources listings, and there's a lot of work to be done with that, but that is on our wish list for 2023. We're currently working to get the pieces in place to get that developed. So that'll be huge. You all look so excited. Have I lulled you into?
No, I'm trying to figure out an update here. So we've got donations coming in, and I was trying to log them so that I could give you an update, because that's pretty cool. And I'm excited about all of these programs for 2023, because I think it's amazing that not only are we maintaining all of the programming that we already have, but increasing what we're doing and serving the needs of more families, and creating spaces that are specific to people that really need that support. And so that has been beautiful to see all of those kind of spaces really continue to increase in not popularity, but increase in numbers increasing in those groups, and also offering some of the webinars that we've been offering, hopefully having even more exciting or just as exciting, because that was a pretty exciting group of webinars we had in 2022. So
That was. Hey, y'all.
if you want to,
I got another donation, and it was from Brian.
Yep.
So if you're going to donate, which please do, please donate to help us for next year. Do donate to my fundraiser, okay?
You're doing pretty well there.
I really want to hit my goal before anybody else, but I don't actually know what everybody else's goal is, so I don't know if I'm close or not.
You have to go in and look at everybody's.
I know. I mean, honestly, our founder, Aiden Key, usually blows everybody out of the water.
And he is. He is right now, for sure. His fundraiser is doing great. And we appreciate that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Although Odetta's fundraiser is doing.
Yeah. Usually Angie Harkins is in second place, but
Angie's got some plans though. Angie is doing some sort of auction later this month.
All right. Well,
early next month.
Let's see what happens.
I know.
Do you want an update?
Yeah, let's do an update.
Get your fingers ready, Charlie. For the update, we have 117 donors, and we are at $64,307, and that is 49%.
We're almost there.
I know.
We're almost there.
It's actually 49.5, but we haven't been rounding up, so we are so close to being halfway there. And we have $6,821 left of the matching fund. So help us use up that matching fund, everybody.
Use it up. Y'all, we're so close. So yeah, as we said earlier, today's goal is to reach the halfway point of our overall annual year-end fundraiser. So if you have known us for multiple years, you know that the fundraiser used to be called Double Thanksgiving, which is a great name. It's super clever. It hit all the right points, right? And we love it. This year, we did do a little update. So we have changed the name to Give a Spark because it's pretty. I think it's also pretty cute and clever, but it reflects so much of who we are right now, right? That every little bit, every spark helps to create a catalyst of light, and it reflects our lantern. We also love it because it alludes to our whole mission, which is to light a pathway to support trans non-binary youth. So we're pretty happy about it. Again, somebody else can also speak. I don't have to be the.
Well,
Rachel's typing. I can hear Rachel typing.
I am. Still not quite there. So close. We're so close. Oh, wait. Hold on. Somebody say something. Somebody say something for a minute so I can do this.
Well, I will say that one thing that I didn't get to say jumping in earlier was one thing that I noticed immediately once I started working here as a full-time employee, because I am not a parent, I'm just a trans person who works here. And so I didn't have any insight into our programming before I actually began working for trans families. And one thing that I really respect about our programming is that we aren't just making things up that we think that people want. We are building and scaling as people need. We're not creating programs thinking, I hope people will come do this. We're creating programs because people are specifically requesting those programs. And so all of the expansion that we're doing is not just because we think that we have really good ideas, even though we do. We respond directly to the needs of the community.
You would not believe how close we are. We are now at 64,921.
We are?
That is like $79 away from being halfway there.
Oh.
We're so close. $79 to go. So if you're out there, somebody donate $79.
We're so close. I would go and look. what I love to do when we're doing this kind of live stream thing is to actually also be on Facebook so I can interact on Facebook. But every time I go there, it makes my screen like start to blip. And
you're like, no. Well,
Yeah.
why don't we talk about our hopes and dreams and see what happens? Maybe our hopes and dreams for 2023. Actually, my hopes and dreams for the next 10 minutes are to reach our halfway goal for Giving Tuesday. But in a more broad sense, hopes and dreams for 2023, I want more safety and more joy. And those are some things that I really want to see. I know that's very vague, but anybody else have hopes and dreams for 2023? Or do you have none? You have no hopes and no dreams.
I will say I am doing more in 2023 to be purposefully in trans spaces. There's a new trans night at my favorite bar on Tuesday nights. Tonight was the first one. I'm going to go next week. I'm really excited. I'm gonna just start like actually, instead of just like hanging out with my friends who are mostly trans, like actually just also going to specifically purposefully trans spaces, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, and that community is so important.
Yeah.
What
More
were you saying?
2023.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? And I agree with that. We really were home a lot for the last couple of years. And yeah, I think that we've been getting ourselves out there more and finding some spaces here, especially for our kid, to be feel safe and happy in a space. And that's been really, really important. And yeah, we have trans families meetings, but also it's nice to get outside and try to connect with other trans people out there.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Hopes and dreams.
I think just generally more positive representation in media. Yeah.
And we've had some good moments, right? We've been seeing them tonight. But
yeah, and I guess like an honorable mention would definitely be, like Elliot Page. Immediately after the day that he announced that he was transitioning, Netflix had changed his name in their credits for Umbrella Academy like that day, and I thought that was really cool. And then there's another show I was watching, and there was like a little background character, and the actual actor himself was transitioning between seasons, and they made it a part of his arc, but it wasn't like in your face. It was very much like, oh yeah, just casually like, oh yeah, my kid's gonna be on a hormone, and then that was it. And then they, yeah, it was really cool. And so I definitely would love to see it like where, being trans is seen more as like it's just how some people live rather than, oh my God, it's this person's personality. It's who they are. Like, yeah. But generally, I've been really happy to see that there definitely has been way more positive representation. So I would love to see that keep happening.
Well, and another place we didn't talk about a lot was in books, especially YA novels. Oh, wow. Some fabulous books have come out over the last year. And even in the picture books that, Simon and I read earlier today, there are some beautiful books coming out with some great representation, great diversity. And I think that we are seeing more and more of that. And it's really, it helps. To quote President Biden, people need to see, and they need to see to realize they don't need to be afraid. Basically, that was not a quote. That was a summary. But yes. Do you want another update? Would you like another update?
Absolutely.
Did we get there?
We have 120 donations. We're at 65,195.
Yeah!
Yay! So
Yeah!
50%. We're at 50%. There's 6,375 left. 377 left of the match. So we got to where we wanted to be for today. I'm ecstatic. Ecstatic.
Right. And if we get further,
Even
we'll
better.
stop. We'll be able to stop pestering you all sooner.
Right, right. If somebody wants to donate 65,000 right now, we'll reach our goal and we will be so happy.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Right. So everybody just, open your wallet, get out $65,000, send that on out.
Hey, ain't no thing. Ain't no thing.
Well, it's been a lovely evening. Has it not?
It absolutely has. Thank you.
Yes. And I do want to remind everyone about our next event, which is on December 15th. And we're pretty excited. That's the closing event for our fundraiser, but also it's going to be a workshop led by the Titans, some of the Titans, on gender and on gender euphoria. And it's going to be an interactive workshop. So please join us for that to help us close out our fundraiser. Hopefully, we'll be past our goal at that point, and we'll just be like, "Yay!" Or at least closer. I'm sure we'll be at least closer. So if you want to join that, please keep your eyes out for our newsletters, or we'll have some posts on our social media. You can RSVP there. What else? I think that's all from us. Does anybody have any final words?
Well, thank you. It's been lovely.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you everybody in the audience. And I hope that you have a lovely evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.